Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're delving into a case that is both deeply tragic and incredibly complex, a story that unfolded during what should have been a time of peace and reflection. We're going to talk about the heartbreaking events that shattered the Khan family, a story that serves as a somber reminder of how quickly life can change. Our story begins in a quiet suburban neighborhood, where the Khan family was known for their warmth and community spirit. They were, by all accounts, a model family. The father, a successful professional, and the mother, a loving homemaker, had raised two bright and promising children. As the holy month of Ramadan began, their home was filled with the usual preparations, prayers, fasting, and plans for family gatherings. Neighbors recalled the familiar, comforting aroma of traditional foods being cooked for iftar, the evening meal to break the fast. No one could have imagined the darkness that was about to descend upon this seemingly happy household. On a cool evening, about a week into Ramadan, a frantic 911 call shattered the tranquility of the neighborhood. The call came from inside the Khan residence. The voice on the other end was panicked, almost incoherent. When police and paramedics arrived, they were met with a scene of unimaginable horror. Inside the pristine home, they discovered the bodies of the parents. The scene was chaotic, suggesting a violent struggle had taken place. The immediate question on everyone's mind was, what happened here, and where were the children? The initial investigation was a whirlwind of confusion. There were no signs of forced entry, which immediately led detectives to believe that the perpetrator was someone the family knew, someone they had willingly let into their home. The community was in shock. Rumors began to circulate. Was it a robbery gone wrong? A business deal turned sour? The police were tight-lipped, but the absence of the two children, a teenage son and his younger sister, was the most alarming piece of the puzzle. An Amber Alert was issued, and their faces were broadcast across every news channel. The public's hope was that they were just scared and hiding, but a more sinister possibility loomed large in the minds of the investigators. Days turned into a week, and the search for the missing children intensified. The police explored every lead, interviewing friends, relatives, and neighbors. Everyone described the Khans as a close-knit, loving family with no known enemies. The father was respected in his field, and the mother was a beloved figure in her social circles. The children were described as well-behaved and studious. The son was a popular high school student, an athlete with a promising future. His sister was a quiet, artistic girl, adored by her teachers. The picture being painted was one of idyllic family life, which made the violent reality of the crime scene all the more jarring. Why would anyone target this family? As detectives dug deeper, they started to uncover subtle cracks in this perfect facade. They learned that the son had been exhibiting some behavioral changes in the months leading up to the tragedy. His grades had slipped, and he had become more withdrawn and secretive. Some friends mentioned he was spending time with a new group of people and seemed to be under some kind of pressure, though no one knew the specifics. This was a crucial turning point in the investigation. The focus began to shift from an external attacker to the possibility that the threat had come from within. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, the family's own home security system. While the internal cameras had been disabled, a neighbor's camera, pointing towards the street, captured footage from the night of the incident. The footage showed the son leaving the house alone in the family car, hours after his parents were believed to have been killed. He wasn't frantic or running, he appeared calm, collected even. This chilling discovery redirected the entire investigation. The missing son was no longer considered a potential victim, but the primary suspect. His younger sister was still unaccounted for, and fears for her safety grew exponentially. A nationwide manhunt was launched for the son. His face, once featured in a desperate plea for his safe return, was now on wanted posters. The public was stunned by the turn of events. How could a son be capable of such a heinous act against his own parents? The motive remained a complete mystery. There was no financial gain to be had, no history of severe conflict that anyone knew of. It was a senseless act that defied all logic. Psychologists and criminal profilers weighed in, suggesting everything from a sudden psychotic break to a deep-seated, hidden resentment. The search ended a few hundred miles away in a different state. The son was found in a cheap motel, alone. When he was taken into custody, he was eerily calm and offered no resistance. And then came the most devastating news of all. The body of his younger sister was found in the trunk of the family car he had been driving. She had been killed after they left the house. The entire country mourned. A family of 4 had been wiped out, and the sole perpetrator was the one person who should have been their protector. The subsequent trial was a media circus. The prosecution painted a picture of a cold, calculating killer. They presented evidence from the son's personal computer and phone, which revealed a disturbing online life he had kept hidden from everyone. He was involved in extremist online forums and had been slowly radicalized over time. He had developed a twisted ideology that viewed his own family as obstacles to a path he felt he needed to follow. His parents had apparently confronted him about his changing behavior and his new, dangerous beliefs just before their deaths. This confrontation, according to the prosecution, was the trigger. The defense, on the other hand, argued for diminished capacity. They claimed the son was a troubled young man who had been brainwashed by online manipulators. They brought in experts who testified about the powerful influence of online radicalization on young, impressionable minds. They portrayed him not as a monster, but as another victim of a dangerous digital world. The jury was faced with an impossible task: to make sense of the senseless and to decide the fate of a young man who had destroyed his own family. In the end, the jury found him guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought a legal end to the case, but it offered little comfort or closure to the community and the extended family left behind. The house where the tragedy occurred stood empty for years, a silent monument to the family that was lost. The story of the Khan family serves as a chilling case study on the dangers of online extremism and the hidden struggles that can exist even in seemingly perfect families. It's a reminder to always be aware of what's happening with our loved ones, to foster open communication, and to recognize the signs of trouble before it's too late. This case is a profound tragedy that occurred during a time meant for peace and family. It reminds us that darkness can find its way into any home, and it underscores the importance of mental health awareness and vigilance against harmful online influences. Thank you for joining me for this difficult story. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.